Back live with you tonight, John in Focus, and thanks for staying on. Reporting continues now, and we're joined by our politics editor here at Newzroom Africa, Channel 405, Lukhanyo Calata. The Section 89 panel, which is looking into the president's possible impeachment, finds there's prima facie evidence that, one, he could have breached the Constitution, that there's conflict of interest between his personal business and his position as president, but also this whole Preka thing where he says, well, I would not have known who the thieves are, so I would not have been responsible for reporting according to the Preka Act, but I did tell my personal protection regime, you know, and I was hoping that they will follow the necessary channels. Seems not to hold water with the former Chief Justice and his panel. Let's start here. The development so far, because they happened so quickly, is that apparently there could possibly be an NEC meeting of the ANC that is called for tomorrow.
Yes, so we have not been able to verify that yet, but we are working on it. Look, what was supposed to happen tomorrow from the African National Congress was that they were going to announce the names of the 200 NEC nominations, candidates that have been nominated to sit on the NEC. So I'm sure that will probably now fall away, and that we most likely are going to have this NEC, and obviously it is going to be rough. It's going to be rough for the president, and I think we can safely say that.
The Integrity Commission is also looking into this, and I'm sure there will be calls for immediate release of that report to find out what the Integrity Commission of the ANC is now saying on this Phala Phala matter.
Yes, sir. That's definitely going to happen. But I think, Thabo, for me, yes, the ANC processes are going to unfold. It's hard for me to kind of, get into that kind of conversation just because we're not sure what is going to happen. What we are sure of, Thabo, what we are sure of is the fact that this independent panel has said, we conclude that this information discloses prima facie that the president may have committed a serious violation of Section 96(2)(a) of the Constitution. Yeah. Now, this panel was constituted under Section 89 of the Constitution, which deals with the removal of president. If you'd allow me, sir. The National Assembly, by a resolution adopted with a supporting vote of at least 2/3 of its members, may remove the president from office only on the grounds of A, a serious violation of the Constitution or the law, B, serious misconduct, or C, inability to perform the functions of office. Something quite crucial here. Number 2, 89(2) says, anyone who has been removed from the office of president in terms of subsection 1A or B may not receive any benefits of that office and may not serve in any public office.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Siviwe Gwagube made a very telling point. If a president is removed from office under Section 89, his entire cabinet must go with him. Yeah. His entire cabinet. Right. So, Minister Lindiwe Sisulu is not going to stick around. Everybody must go if Parliament, the National Assembly, takes the decision that President Cyril Ramaphosa did indeed commit a serious violation of the Constitution or the law, and that he must be removed from office.
But who comes on? That means Didi Mabuza becomes the president.
No, he goes too. Remember, he goes too. Everybody.
So it's a whole new process.
It is. It would have to be.
Who comes in and becomes president?
It would have to be. Now, obviously, now we start talking about situations that we in this country have never faced before. I think the person that would become president is the Speaker of the National Assembly, right, as she's third in line, but she would then have to call for an election. I stand under correction, but I think she would have to call for an election within 90 days of assuming office in this case, and then we would have to have an election, and we would have to vote for a new government. So these are the consequences of what happened today. It is dire for our country.
Let's look at what the charges are. I mean, in terms of what is being charged here, is that in terms of what is labeled charge 1, it is alleged that the president is guilty of serious violation of section 96 subsection 2A of the Constitution, in that he said that in an event of the ANC, he sells cattle as a business. And the charge here is that the president is possibly engaging in other paid work, which is in conflict with his position.
Section 962A that you just read, it reads, members of the cabinet and deputy ministers may not, A, undertake any other paid work. Now, the president, we know, we've been reporting throughout the day, that he had told the panel that, in fact, he did not receive a salary. He did not receive money, from the proceeds.
In fact, he says he used his family money to fund this farm, which was largely operating at a loss.
At a loss. Now, we're not sure how true that is, because obviously the president has not submitted or has not made available the bank details for us to be able to scrutinize whether or not he is telling the truth around this issue. But the panel finds, Thabo, that he did undertake, he did undertake, or he may have undertaken paid work. Now, this then brings up the issue of the prevention of and combating of the Corrupt Activities Act, right? Which the panel says the president may have violated. So not only did the panel say the president violated the Constitution, but also violated the prevention of the and combating of the Corrupt Activities Act.
And according to that, the panel finds that it's not good enough to say, well, I spoke to Rode, who is in charge of my safety, and I reported that there was a security breach at my house because I was busy in Ethiopia. I expected him to then follow up and do what is necessary. This particular act says he actually was supposed to have reported to the police. I suppose it settles that debate once and for all to say his personal protection regime, although it is paid by the police and reports to the National Police Commissioner, that's not where you report cases.
No, of course not. And I mean, obviously, the president should have done the right thing in this instance. And his apparent failure to do so has now come back to bite him. It's come back to bite the African National Congress, largely because...
You could say his failure, it could have been a deliberate act. I mean, the panel could seemingly thinks that, well, you instructed somebody who's not supposed to be investigating to do an investigation. Why? Were you trying to hide what was happening as far as this
in that instance, the panel says that he abused his office. That he abused his office as the head of state because he had acted in a manner in which he sought to keep this entire investigation a secret. That's what the panel says, that he abused his office.
I categorically deny the president that I violated any laws or I'm guilty of anything. Is this a Cyril Ramaphosa who's going to dig in his heels, or is he going to walk away quietly?
Well, remember, Thabo, President Cyril Ramaphosa came into office on the ticket of being a corruption buster. He against anti-corruption. He was anti-corruption, and he won at Nasrec in 2017 on that ticket. He set up a government in which he was saying that this government is going to fight corruption. So for him now to be accused of, violating the Prevention of Corrupt Activities Act, for him to be accused of having violated the Constitution by undertaking paid work while he is in office, I mean, at no point can he continue in office and say, I'm in office because, we are fighting corruption, when you are now accused of corruption. Yeah. So I think in defense of the ANC, or in trying to protect the ANC and his comrades, and, making sure that none of them lose their jobs, because if he is removed from Parliament, remember, from office, everybody goes. So I think that maybe he might fall on his sword to try and protect, obviously, the rest of the cabinet and his ministers, to ensure that at least there is some kind of functioning government for our country. Otherwise, the consequences, if it doesn't, could be catastrophic for us.
Falling on his sword, would that mean falling out of the race for Nasrec as well? And I wonder if the Electoral Commission, led by former President Kgalema Motlanthe, who, by the way, has been very critical of the Phala Phala matter, him alongside former President Thabo Mbeki, would want to whether look at this particular candidate and his suitability to run for office.
Oh, Thabo, now you're asking me something. Now you're asking me something. Look, at this stage, the president has not been charged of any crime. There are investigations, by several law enforcement authorities, but he has not been charged. So, as of tonight, he can still stand for president of the African National Congress. This report obviously damages him, a lot, but he can still stand. And the ANC being what it is, he could still win. And then whether or not he would then, survive, very much like former President Jacob Zuma did a lot in Parliament, where, he survived motion of no confidence after motion, where the African National Congress caucus in Parliament protected him. Yes. So there's still the opportunity that they could do the same in this instance. The ANC does still have it's maybe not an outright majority, but they do still have a majority within the National Assembly to protect the president from a possible impeachment. The opposition parties just simply do not have the numbers on their own to be able to pass a motion that would lead to the removal of the president.
Speaking of opposition parties, listen to what the ATM said to me a little bit earlier on, Vuyo Zungula of the ATM on this matter of Phala Phala.
We've got a person that is a constitutional delinquent. We've got a person that commits the gravest sin ever witnessed in our country as a sitting head of state. If I were him, I would resign on the spot and make sure that I do speak, I follow my sword. Remember, he did say if he's caught on the wrong side of the law, he is going to, he's going to step aside. He's going to remove himself from position of power. That's what he should do now. He should just resign, allow all of the processes of investigation from the Hawk, SIU, and all other state agencies to proceed without him being in office, while he's been confirmed by the panel that there's prima facie evidence that he committed all of these grave allegations against the prosecution.
It has all sorts of implications, does it not, on the independence of the security agencies in the country, whether they'll be able to investigate him without fear or favor, reporting to him. But also, it possibly could even have implications for the matter of the public protector for him, to say, well, this is what you were afraid would come out as far as this matter is concerned, and you then suspended the public protector.
Of course, I think in that instance, we're going to have to wait for the Constitutional Court. But yes, it could have serious implications for the president. And I think all of his detractors tonight are probably rubbing their hands in glee, because, this would offer them an opportunity to then go in and do some real damage, because this already has done some damage against him. But ultimately, whether or not they can either get him to resign as president of the republic, which then obviously makes a moot point him going to Nasrec and standing to become president of the ANC if he has resigned from the presidency. So I think the next few days and weeks, possibly months, are going to be, turmoil for our country. I think because obviously President Cyril Ramaphosa has been seen as someone who is, who came in, like I said, on the ticket of fighting corruption. But I think this damages him severely.
There have been some unsubstantiated reports earlier on that the president had told those who are close to him that he would want to resign, but was convinced. They said, "No, stay. We will fight for you." Do you think he could have maybe foreseen and anticipated that this would be an outcome? It's an unwinnable battle.
Look, I mean, I don't like to speculate, just simply because I wasn't there, and also I don't really know. But if the president had considered resigning, it probably would have been because he understands what is at stake. He would have known the truth right from the get-go. And that maybe he would have, wanted to, because he's a proud person, and I don't think that something like this is something that would sit well with him. So maybe he did want to resign, but obviously, because of politics and the fact that people know that without him in the office, their jobs and are at stake and they're exposed. So they maybe would have given him advice that may have been wrong. I'm not sure how Parliament is going to deal with this matter. We're not sure what the outcome of this matter is going to be. But it is for sure that President Cyril Ramaphosa's image as a corruption buster, as a corruption fighter, as someone who was going to renew the ANC has been dented severely.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on and helping us in the conversation. That's our politics editor, Lukhanyo Calata.